listening to the AZ Wildcats podcast. I am your host, Mike Luke. We have a lot to get to this show. We are going to talk almost exclusively Big 12 football. We are very excited about this. Joined by the venerable Jason Shearer. Hello, Jason Shearer. How are you doing today, my friend?
Splendid, Michael. How are you?
We have got a lot. Oh, dude, I'm always awesome. So we got a lot to get to this show. We're going to talk Big 12 power rankings. We are going to talk some teams that came in very low on the rankings as well. We're going to talk Noah Fifita. We are going to talk a smorgasbord of other things. But let's get started here on Arizona and the other teams that are in front of them. Now, the comments are already coming in hot and heavy. James Carpio, yes, fifth, Mike Luke. I also think you are overhyping your running back room compared to the four above you in the poll. Here's where I'm at. I really like Arizona's running back room. I like Arizona's running back room a great deal. Is it the best in the conference? Probably not. But guess what? I will take that quarterback and running back combination over anybody. What say you, Jason Shearer?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Arizona has the best running back room in the conference. Anytime you have the best player at a position, it's usually you. So Oklahoma State, Kansas has a really good room. But like you mentioned, like with Oklahoma State, Ollie Gordon's awesome. Alan Bowman is not. Right? So Kansas to me is probably the closest. But, obviously I'm taking Fifita and Arizona's running backs together over any team in the conference.
It is a backfield grade, my friends. That's where we are at. Okay, now let's talk about these. Arizona came in fifth. I think that these are, I backed the A and I put Arizona number one. Here's my case for Arizona number one. First of all, I believe that you have the best quarterback in the conference. We're going to get to all of this in a second. If you want to take somebody else, fine. But I will definitely stand with the National Freshman of the Year over a guy who's played one game in Avery Johnson or Bowman, obviously, or Cam Rising, who we don't need to play. Quarterback is, or we don't even know it's going to play. Quarterback is the most important position on the field, Shear. And Arizona has a stud at quarterback in Noah Fifita.
Yeah, so what it came down to for me was really simple. When you look at the questions, what positions do those questions come at, right?
Right.
So, for instance, Utah, Cam Rising, look, I could change my opinion on Utah 2 games in the season. If Cam Rising shows me that he's healthy and that leg is functional and all that, I'm higher on Utah then than I probably am now, right? Noah Fifita is good. I know Noah Fifita is good. And as I tweeted, I think Arizona has the best quarterback. I think Arizona has the best wide receiver. You can make an argument that Arizona has the best offensive lineman. It's got a top 3 linebacker. Like, I'm perfectly cool with my pick as Arizona finishing first in the conference because the question at quarterback that some teams have is way more vital and important than the question at second cornerback that Arizona has.
And you know what? We had a conversation about this before you put your poll in, and I did convince you of this because you were talking, well, we don't know about Arizona's second cornerback. And I'm like, everybody's got questions, but when you've got a quarterback already, that is a very good thing. Now, listen, when you look at the skill position players on this team, you've obviously Noah Fifita stud. T-Mac stud. You're predicting a breakout year for Montana Lamonius Craig. We will see. But then at running back, the running back room is very, very solid. I would be stunned if the running backs aren't good. And you return 4 or 5 offensive linemen. And we talked about it a little bit yesterday. I'm sorry. If you return 4 or 5 offensive linemen, and with the guys that you still have looking at, you have a Polito, you have a Jonah Rodriguez, you have guys like that, the offense should be good, period.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest concern on offense is actually wide receiver. Obviously, T-Mac is awesome, but someone else needs to step up. And when we're talking about questions, because that's what we're doing, I know you like Malachi Riley, but you still need to see it on the field, right? You still need to see these guys produce. Montana, Riley, Murphy, all those guys need to produce. And losing Jacob Cowing is a big deal. And if these guys produce, I feel much better about it. But until they do, you're going to see teams double T-Mac. Which may or may not work. And in order to lighten that load, someone has to step up.
Somebody's got to step up, but I do believe that there are very good options here. I think they're talented. Now, do they have to show it? Yes. Which brings me to my next point. There are a ton of unknowns on the teams that are ahead of Arizona. First of all, like we talked about, Cam Rising. I don't even know if Cam Rising can walk. I have no clue if this is a Mackenzie Melton situation. Nobody knows. Nobody knows until you're out there. Alex Bowman and Kansas quarterback, very, very good. He's also injury prone. Kansas State quarterback shows a lot of talent. Guess what? He's played one game. Arizona has the best backfield when it comes to this, period. Point blank. No other.
Yeah, and look, like, and I said this on my podcast last night. But like Anderson, I understand Kansas State fans love him. I get it. He also completed 56% of his passes last year. Right? There's questions. What are you going to do now when those 66 total pass attempts turns to 300? Right? If you're completing 56% of 300 passes, that is not a good number.
Right. It's just
so, like, you got to, like, I realize every fan base is excited about their guys, but there's still questions.
All right. Palmer Hoffman says, what happened to Majon Wright? He is at his 35th different school, I would assume. Okay. Now, so the offense, like I said, I put the offensive personnel against any team in the country, period. I mean, not any team. Well,
no, country's up. Yeah.
Don't go that far, but in the Big 12, I put it against any team in the Big 12. Now, let's get to the defensive side. I believe that this defense is going to be middle of the pack, and I have no problems with that. And because here's the thing, and I was talking about this with William Brad Ellis yesterday. I look at the starting defense, and I like it. There's like 2 question marks on the starters. Now, the depth we'll get to in just a second. But as far as the defense goes, I am totally cool with the down line. Ty, Trey Smith, Kevon Darton, and Chuba May, totally cool with that. Starting down line. What say you, Jason Shearer?
Yeah, I actually think it might be a little better than people think. Darton produced. Chuba May produced, and I realized it was at Davis, but like we saw him during the spring, and he looked good. Bear Anderson at Memphis was good. Like it, and I had some questions about the depth at defensive line on the ends, but we know Trey Smith is good. We know Ty is good. I just wish there was a couple guys behind him, but maybe Chase Kennedy steps in and fixes that.
Okay, now we look at the linebackers. Then love Jacob Manu. He is fantastic. With Jacob Manu. The question though is who comes after Jacob Manu though. You got Tay Brown obviously, but then I mean, you got a lot of unproven commodities here. And no, Justin Flo, I do not see starting next to Jacob Manu, so we can nip that in the bud. That is a question mark. That is a fair question mark. That linebacker spot next to Jacob Manu.
Yep, that would be the biggest question. There's 2 questions on defense. Number 1, the corner. Number 2, the linebacker. Your hope is that Tay Brown or Kamala step up. That's your hope. One of those guys has to step up and emerge as the very clear leader at that position. If that does not happen, Arizona's probably in some trouble.
And then the secondary, I love the secondary. Outside of the 1 question mark at the boundary corner, listen, you got 3 safeties that can play. I'm figuring that Owen Goss can play as well. You've also got, on the other side, you've got, obviously, Takario Davis, a first-round pick type potential. The question is at that other cornerback spot. Obviously, Demetrius Freeney or Killebrew, whatever the case may be, that's a fair question mark. But when we're looking at the starting defense and basically our 2 question marks are one of the linebackers and another corner, that's not that bad, Skier.
Yeah, and look, again, your hope is Freeney, Killebrew. Who knows? Maybe Goss could play corner. He played some corner at his last spot. I don't like him there, but but I'll say this: they could move Stukes over if they need to, and we know that Stukes isn't awful. And then you put Genesis Smith there or Goss there. Like there's ways around it. I think there's no way to fix a bad quarterback, right? Now, there's ways to cover up having an average corner.
So again, I do not know. And again, we need to be very clear. We very much like our Big 12 friends around here. Very much like him. I can do without probably Colorado, but outside of that, we like our Big 12 fans. And so we are not besmirching it, but I look at all these teams though, and I don't think it's outlandish at all to say that I'm backing the A on this one, baby. I am backing the A all the way, period, point blank.
Yeah, Mike, I'm with you. Look at you, you're feisty.
I am very feisty today. All right, that's my case. Now, let's talk about some question marks because there are question marks. We are not the, I was going to say, well, we're not we're not the best team in the country yet. But listen, on the defense, honestly, a position that does worry me is that depth on the edges. I'm totally cool with the starters, but what Arizona really had going for them was that you could bring in a multitude of guys. I don't know who those dudes are. At the tackle, I'm totally cool with Isaiah Johnson and Bear Anderson. Totally cool with them backing up on the on the defensive tackles, but at the two end positions, Sheer, not thrilled.
Yeah, I mean that's really what it comes down to. They need someone else to emerge, right? They need someone at the end, and clearly they. The problem, or not a problem, however you want to do it, is it's really hard to get a defensive end in the portal. And so, in an ideal world, yeah, one of those guys step up and you're okay.
Now, let's talk about then the other linebacker. All right, we got to talk about Justin Flo. I believe that we need to talk about Justin Flo every single show. There needs to be a segment on Justin Flo. Again, they're 5-2-0 down. You're my guy. You're much smarter than me. I would love to be wrong on this one. But with Flo, we'll believe it when you see it. I also don't think, and I asked a coach who might actually coach him, that I asked him, I said, what about putting Justin Flo at defensive end? And he says, listen, the kid's a freak for sure. And he said it in a good way. He's also 230 pounds. He said when there's a difference between just running at somebody full speed ahead and literally lining up as a Micah Parsons type, he said when he gets engaged with our offensive tackles, guess what? The offensive tackles hold him. He's just not big enough.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to be wrong. Barrett 5-2-0 down.
Flo is one of these situations where you look at his ranking, you look at what he looks like physically, and you just assume he's awesome. But football's also a mental game too, right? Like if Justin Flo was able to drop back into coverage, he'd probably be one of the best linebackers in the country. The problem is he cannot read offenses. I'm just going to say it. He can't do it for whatever reason. So look, maybe something clicks, and if something clicks, shout out to Danny Gonzalez, but it is a very large, we need to see it before we say, oh, Justin Flo is the answer.
Yeah, I mean, we got to see. Yeah, we got to see it. But like I said, with Micah Parsons, let's be honest here. With Micah Parsons, you're talking about the best defensive. You're probably talking about the best defensive player in the NFL. I mean, and Micah Parsons was an absolute stud. I'll put it to you like this: with Micah Parsons, 3 different coaching staffs would have been able to figure out how to use Micah Parsons. Correct, Jir, in college?
Yeah, we need to stop that comparison.
All right, now. But either way, you guys are great. Now we have the super snap coming in. Let's see here. Bear Down Cats, $4.99. Bear Down from New Jersey will be there at West Virginia and Cincy games. Kick scum devil butt. We will do our best. So, and then at that other cornerback spot, obviously we'll see what transpires here. But like I said, I don't see a ton of weaknesses. I really don't. I feel fairly good about this squad going into Big 12 play. Now, who is the team that you would put at number 2, Sheer? Because I'm not putting Utah at number 2.
I put Kansas at 2.
You put Kansas at 2? Okay, make the case.
I think that if Daniels is healthy, the quarterback situation is obviously really good. I think their running backs are awesome. They have 2 very, very good corners. Look, I realize there's questions about health and all that, but they're good. And if they stay healthy, they're very, very good.
They are very, very good. I go back and forth. I've vacillated between them and Kansas State. I do like Kansas State, and they kind of remind me. Now, listen, roster-wise, they aren't. They're not super similar, but I think they're both kind of at the stage where they are both very good. Listen, with Lance Leopold is a boss. You know exactly what you are getting with him. Same as with Kansas State. Right there, you're entering with a good coaching situation. And Kansas State, I went Kansas State at 2, even though, so I realize I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth. I went with Kansas State at 2 because I do think I am a believer in Avery Johnson. Again, I need to see it. I'm still taking Noah Fifita, but I am a believer in Avery Johnson. I think he's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, and again, he could be really good. He could be awesome. I don't know. Kansas State is good. And I think Kansas State is one of those very solid football teams. Like no one made, and I voted a couple guys. I think I voted one guy on the preseason Big 12. No one else voted him. Like, I'm a man of the people. They're good. I just think Kansas. I like Kansas overall. Their ability with their playmakers.
Okay. All right. Now, I think a big thing that we do need to discuss as we go into Big 12 play is it can be very hot in some of these areas. Shady Rays. Listen.
Yep.
When you go into some of these places, when you go to Lubbock, Texas, guess what you're going to want to have? Shady Rays. Now, sure, you have a pair of Shady Rays. This is true, or do you not?
I don't, but I'm looking. I need to.
Now, Sheer answered my question for me. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code PHNX for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Shady Rays, very, very good stuff. And again, you're going to need those when you go into Lubbock, Texas, Jason Sheer. This is true.
Especially when you don't want people to recognize you.
Yes, exactly. Now, do we think that the GOAT, Brian Jeffries, will wear Shady Rays when he goes to Central Florida?
I would assume.
I mean, and if he doesn't, I think that there was something lost in translation. But either way, check it out, Shady Rays. This is where you need to get all of your stuff. And again, you will look cool in the process. Shady Rays. Now, Four Peaks. Guess who's back?
Oh, baby.
Guess who's back? Guess who's back in the house? Shady Rays, Four Peaks. Check it out, my friends. Four Peaks, all kinds of good stuff. I was behind the Four Peaks truck just yesterday, and I felt very, very good about myself. And again, I took a picture, but I didn't post it yet because Four Peaks is back. Kilt Lifter, my friend. Visit fourpeaks.com/locator to find all your favorite beers and events. Check out at Four Peaks Brewer, at Four Peaks Pub to keep up with the latest at Arizona's hometown brewery. Must be 21 years or older to drink Four Peaks. Please drink and please enjoy responsibly. Sure. Do you like Four Peaks?
I do actually. I don't drink much beer, but Four Peaks is up there for me.
Four Peaks. And again, when we talked about it before, Matt Muehlbach has put that out there before with Four Peaks, that it was the Four Peak movement with the U of A basketball players. Check it out. Four Peaks, all kinds of really good stuff. You will thank me later with Four Peaks. And again, Kilt Lifter from the great Kobe Thiel. He likes that a great deal as well. And Five of a Kind Media, back to Four Peaks Imperial IPA. Okay. All right.
Can I just like my guy Bear 520 down loves Justin Flo, but we got to stop with love Micah Parsons. Dwight Freeney in college was like as good as it gets, literally. Like one of the best college defensive ends of all time.
Yes, he's very, very good, and he's very, very good, and we will get that. Now, let's talk now about Noah Fifita. Noah Fifita should have been the best the best quarterback in the conference. I would have picked Noah Fifita to be my preseason all-conference quarterback, and here's why. He is a winner, first and foremost. Everywhere he's been, he has won. And everywhere he has been very successful. On top of that, he puts up big numbers. On top of that, he's basically in any offense, and he is able to win. He is also a player as well that when the going gets tough, Sheer, you do know that he is going to be able to make some plays. Against Colorado, for example, he did not have a great game. But at the end, guess who made the plays that he needed to be able to make? Noah Fifita. He is super, like I said, he is a winner. He is everything you want in a quarterback. He puts up numbers and he wins. And before some Colorado fan says, oh, well, Shedeur was on a bad team. Arizona was headed towards a 4 or 5 win season with Jaden DeLora at quarterback. Noah Fifita changed all of that, period, point blank. What say you, Sheer?
Yeah, I think that's a narrative that, Mike, we have been determined in not letting people forget. Jedfish accidentally lucked into Noah Fifita.
Right.
It wasn't a decision where he's like, you know what, Noah's going to take Arizona to the Alamo Bowl. Here's a move I'm going to make. If Jaden DeLora doesn't get hurt, we don't even – the whole trajectory of the program, Jedfish is still here. Right? Noah, who knows? Like, there's like people don't pay enough attention to that, but I have no questions about Noah. I don't care about the new offense. Are there some growing pains? Sure. You get rid of those growing pains in camp. right? That's what camp's for. And we've said it before, like if those growing pains go into the season, we question Dino Babers. We don't question Noah Fifita.
Yeah, and again, Shedeur Sanders, he's a better NFL prospect. I get that. I don't care about any of that, though. I care about what I see in college. And if the chips are down and you've got to be able to win one game and you got to go up and down the field, you are taking Noah Fifita. He was the National Freshman of the Year. And again, Shedeur, at the end of the day, Dennis Wall said Shedeur did have better numbers with no line. At the end of the day, though, Noah Fifita, Arizona wasn't going anywhere with a guy in DeLaura who was also the Pac-12 Freshman of the Year. You put in Fifita and they start winning. Players gravitate towards Noah Fifita. Players gravitate towards what he can do. And you don't have to put up with the sideshow and everything as well. I mean, to me, it's a pretty, like I said, Shedeur's really good. But to me, it's pretty simple. I'm taking Noah Fifita.
Yeah, I think Shedeur's good. I'm not going to pretend like he's not. I put more weight into the BS, right? Like I don't, if I was a head football coach, I would deal with as little BS as I could, right? And to me, Noah Fifita, all his teammates love him. I don't have to worry about him going on social media.
I don't have players and then having the coach. Yeah, exactly.
It's just, and look, Shedeur's really good. He'll obviously be higher picked in the NFL draft than maybe any other quarterback in the nation.
That's not what we're talking about, though.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm talking about my college program as a whole. I'm thinking Noah. I don't think it's like some hot take.
Yes, exactly. And the thing with Noah, too, is how incredibly accurate he is. And I'm going to keep going back to this, what Greg Biggins said. Your guy, Greg Biggins, head of 24/7 scouting. This is a dude that's, how long has Greg been doing this? 30 years?
Yeah.
All right. Greg Biggins had said to me on this show, Greg Biggins said, and this guy scouted everybody on the West Coast, every 5-star quarterback that you can name, he has scouted. And he said, period, point blank, when the chips are down, if I need one guy to be able to take me up the field and be able to win me a football game, I am taking Noah Fifita. And I said, over, and he said, over anybody, period. So that to me goes a long way. And you just saw it too. Arizona last year had a over-under in Vegas of 5 wins. They got 10 wins, and that was because of Noah Fifita. And the other thing that I really think that we got to keep talking about, though, is that even on games when Noah didn't play well, Sheer, at the end, when he had to make plays, he always made plays, whether that was Oklahoma, whether that was Colorado. Heck, even when he went in against Stanford, when Arizona was going to lose that game against the atrocious Stanford Cardinal, and Noah Fifita led him right down to a touchdown, kept the ball out of Stanford's hands as well. Sheer, dude's a winner, man, period.
Yeah, and I look at the Alamo Bowl, like people remember early in that game, he was getting killed, right? Yes. Like, he was getting in, and you're like, man, I kind of think they're going to get blown out. Like we texted back and forth, like, ooh, I don't know about this. And all of a sudden, it just clicked, and Noah figured it out. The O-line wasn't good that game until the end when they replaced. Remember, the O-line was bad until they put Leif in there, right? And then, but it started clicking for Noah before then. And the thing that I like about Noah is he doesn't force the issue, right? If a guy's open 7 yards down the field, he's going to hit him. If a guy's open 27 yards down the field, he's going to hit him. But the pass he makes is going to be the correct one.
Yes, he's going to make, and he can make every throw that you need to be able to make.
And I'll say that was DeLaura's biggest obstacle was just take the guys 5 yards in front of you. You don't need to throw it 60 yards down the field.
And I keep going back, and one of the wide receivers, who's, his father is a good dude. He mentioned to me, he said the thing, and he wasn't really, I think it was kind of a shot at JDL, but he said the great thing about having Noah Fifita is that if my son gets open, he's going to get the football. That was not the case before. And again, I'm going to keep bringing this up. With Jayden DeLaura, I didn't like Jayden DeLaura, but a lot of other people did, sure. But Jayden DeLaura was also the Pac-12 Freshman of the Year, like a year or two removed. So it wasn't like he was some bum, and Arizona was going to go to win 5 games. So miss me with the whole stuff with Shedeur about how he was on a bad team, this and that. Arizona was going to be in that same exact boat. If Jayden DeLaura was the quarterback, Noah Fifita made it different, period. Boom.
I mean, look, if Jayden DeLaura starts, we think what? 5-6?
Yeah, 5-6. Because again, they were losing to bum teams. Mississippi State.
They would have lost the game to Stanford.
They would have lost the game to Stanford, which, by the way, beat Colorado. So, like I said, and there's something too about being a natural leader. When you watch Noah Fifita, people gravitate towards Noah Fifita, whether that's coaches, whether that's players. And I also love how he handles things, because I'll be honest with you, I was not, I don't know that I would have been able to handle it as well as Noah did when I've got somebody in front of me that is losing games and I know for a fact that I'm better than him.
I think the Fifita family is great, obviously. But yeah, the one thing that sticks out, and it became a running joke, Mike, and Noah and his family handled it way better than I ever would be like Noah would throw for 300 yards and you'd ask about it. And Jed Fish would be like, yeah, and Jaden really comforted him on the sideline and gave him the confidence to do that. It's like, what?
It got to the point where Sheer and I would literally talk before press conferences about when Noah Fifita, who just threw for like 600 yards and 5 touchdowns, and he would say, how will he redirect this back to Jaden Delora? It became kind of a running joke in the media. And the kid just handles it, man. The kid, he's a special kid. There aren't many kids that are born with those kind of leadership skills.
Yeah, or like he wouldn't come out and name Noah the starter, even though everyone in the building knew Noah was the starter. There was stuff going on. I don't want to get too far into it, but it involved NIL and some other things. That was by design.
Yes. All right, now let's talk. So that's kind of where we're at. I made the case for Noah Fifita. I think I made a very good case for Noah Fifita. All right, now let's talk a little bit before we get back to Arizona. Let's talk a little bit about some of the also-rans. ASU picked dead last. True story for all the ASU fans out there that don't like Sheer. Sheer is on your side on this one, because I told Sheer, he said, I can't pick ASU last. And I said, absolutely you can. They stink. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'll pick him 14. Sheer, you should have gone with your instinct that ASU stinks.
What's funny is I'm getting heat for picking BYU. BYU radio is calling me up later to have me explain why BYU is last. I just think, and ASU has some major questions, I just think they made enough improvements to not be the worst team in the conference. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that they're good. I just think they did enough to not be the worst.
Who is a good, again, there is nobody on that team that is even borderline all conference.
Well, do you need to be borderline all conference to not be last? I mean, we're just saying last. I'm not picking them fifth. Look, their big question is very simple. Is Sam Levitt good? That's it. Mm-hmm. If Sam Levitt is good, they'll be good. If he's not good, I think we got to put the ball in the hands of Jeff Sims and let him go to work.
Yeah, I think you got to give the ball to Jeff Sims and just, as the kids say, just let him cook. Let him go.
Yeah. Now, but on a serious note, they have Scatabo, they have Brooks, they have Brown and McCaskill now. That's good. Their offensive line isn't awful. The wide receiver group is solid. Their defensive line is pretty decent. Their safeties are pretty decent. I do worry about their depth, but they're just not the worst team to me.
Okay, now let's move to Colorado. Now, Front Runner 3 says, I look at Colorado and they lost a few games by less than a touchdown. Yeah, but see, this argument always loses me because I can go the other way. Didn't they beat Colorado State in like triple overtime? So I can say they should have lost that game. I mean, I can go that way as well. So that you are what your record is.
Colorado fans are wild. Like, there's one going after me on Twitter. I picked them 11th. I don't think that's crazy. I think Vegas has them around there too. They were that in the preseason poll. I'm not the only one. But like this dude, like a couple of people on Twitter, like mad at me. It's like, It's a weird fan base in the sense that it's like, look, I get you love Dion. He's your guy. Support him. But come on, man. Like, do a little bit on the field before you like attack people. Like, they just attack everyone who dislikes Colorado, even though it's not disliking Colorado.
And see, that's the other thing too. I love the narrative as well, where they say, oh, well, the media just doesn't like Colorado. Dude, the media is all over Colorado. And then when I saw a couple of people talking about, well, the voters just don't know what they're talking about with Colorado in the preseason poll. Yet, when they have Travis Hunter as the defensive player of the year in the conference preseason, when they have Shadur as first team, so they knew that much, they weren't biased enough there. But when it comes to picking where Colorado is going to be, then they're not biased. Come on.
By the way, Hunter surprised me as a team. I had Martin. I actually didn't even really consider Hunter. And I think Hunter's really good, but I think Martin and the numbers he put in the Big 12 are wild.
Hunter is really, really good. But let's be honest here, though. We also saw against a guy like T-Mac, T-Mac can do what he wants against Travis Hunter.
Here's my hot take that Arizona fans are like, why do we assume that Travis Hunter is significantly better than Takario Davis at corner?
I have no clue why. I literally have no clue why we assume that. Just because he plays both ways?
Because he was more highly rated in high school?
Yeah, I mean, I don't get that one at all. But back to Colorado for a second. Again, you finished dead last year. And so they go in and they're like, well, we've got Shadur Sanders. Well, you had Shadur Sanders last year. And then they're like, well, our offensive line's better. Well, I would hope your offensive line is better than it was last year. Again, you got people who got to see it. So, but my biggest point that I'm going to keep bringing up, though, is, again, so the media is biased against Colorado as a team, but not the individual players. That's where I'm still a little bit perplexed by this year. It doesn't make any sense to me, my friend.
Yeah, it's this narrative that fans do to make themselves feel better, us against the world, and Dion perpetuates it and all that. And I just go back to my philosophy on Colorado or any team, basketball or football, college sports. You can't build a team with all transfers and win. Cannot do it. There has to be some sort of high school development. The ability to get these guys to mesh together is very, very difficult. If Dion does it, props to him. I'll speak up, and his philosophy would probably change a lot of teams' philosophies throughout the country, but I kind of have to see it to believe it.
Do we think that now Colorado fan, do they feel if Dion leaves after this year, let's give them, let's say that they go 7-5. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt here. Let's say they go 7-5 and Dion leaves. Do they feel, does Colorado fan feel hoodwinked?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I think that there's definitely something to that. And one last thing about Colorado, this is literally a basketball and a football program that has not been good in 30 years. So, I mean, that's kind of I think that's kind of where they're coming at. They got a lot of attention now because of Dion, but still came in last, and it's going to be fun to watch this one play out as it goes on. And Dion, the cold hero that he is, like I said, Dion says he's a leader of men, but if his kid gets in trouble because he told the kid to go get something from a security guard and the security guard to the kid, then the kid attacks the security guard, then all of a sudden Dion is nowhere to be found. So we'll find out about that one. We will definitely find that one out.
And that's the great thing about preseason polls. Everyone's like all pissed and everything. There's a chance to prove people wrong or right. That's the whole point. Like, there's a season to still be played. That's the fun with these preseason polls.
Yes, that is the very fun part about that. But again, that is when I get people that ask me about Dion. That is where I was out on Dion, was, again, when you're telling the kid to go get, or when you're telling a security guard to go get your phone or your kid's phone, and the kid attacks the security guard, then you disown the kid because you don't want to be part of that civil trial. You lose then you bring the kid back to Colorado. The kid loses a $12 million judgment. Then you say, oh, well, yeah, go ahead, just claim bankruptcy. Meanwhile, the kid's bragging that he's got $50K that he's got to spend this Saturday. So again, Dion's a leader when he wants to be a leader. Boom. All right. Now, let's hold on. Speaking of leadership qualities, Circle K. Sheer. You and I are going up to Las Vegas. We are very, very excited about going up to Las Vegas. This is true for Pac-12 Media Day.
Very excited. Only the best for us.
All right. Now, we will be stopping by Circle K's and taking real-time pictures.
We're not going to stop at every Circle K, but yes, we'll stop at a Circle K or two.
Yes. Now, I'm very, very excited about this, but you can also join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. Sheer, when are we getting these Inner Circle hats? Did you follow up?
My guy says he's still working on it. He has one. Should I tell him to just send the one?
No, because we both need to wear them. I mean, if you're able to get it.
I think Circle K knows how important these are to people. Yes. So maybe they're a little stingy.
Right. So we need to, but either way, all right. Circle K, though. Also, the great thing about Circle K, I got a gallon jug of water. And this gallon jug of water, I love carrying this around. I love carrying this to to Circle K and back. Sometimes I even go in there and I fill it up myself. Now, sure, you're Circle K. Have you been to the one that's on like Gladys Farms or wherever?
Gladys Farms, yes, I have.
All right. When are you going to take a picture and then real time this out?
Tomorrow.
You promise?
Yeah.
Okay. Very good stuff. So again, Circle K, check it out. Be part of the inner circle, and you will thank all of us later because Circle K is great. And lastly, the Desert Financial Credit Union. Sheer, if I gave you $200, what would you do with those $200?
Buy Shady Rays.
Yes. Well, the Desert Financial Credit Union says that you need to hop in here and you can get, if you hop in here, you can get $200. This is very, very good stuff. And the great thing about it is when you open a free checking account online, get $200 in bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200 today. I bet you when we go to Las Vegas, we are going to be going by the Desert Financial Credit Union, Jason Shear. I would assume we will.
Obviously.
Should we step in there? Maybe if we have a couple extra $100, should we maybe step in there and maybe
when I hit in roulette, that's my first stop.
Yes, exactly. With yeah, that is exactly what I want to do. But either way, the Desert Financial Credit Union, 200. Check it out. Open an account, get 200 a day, and you will thank me later again. Maybe you'll even see Jacob Franklin in there as well.
How come Jacob's not going to Vegas? Not happy.
All right. Now, yeah, I wish Jacob Franklin was going to Las Vegas. By the way, did I tell you that coming up here in a month or two, Jacob Franklin says he's going to do a whole show with us. Very excited about this.
Wow.
Yeah, whole show. But now let's get back to some Arizona. Let's get back to some Arizona athletics here. We're going to talk on Friday. We're going to talk about recruiting expectations in the Big 12 top 30 classes. I did want to talk about something though about that has come out again, and he's posting pictures here left and right. And Kylan Boswell, the latest picture, he's down to negative 0.1% body fat. You and I go back on this one. I think in a weird way, I think that the Kylan Boswell experience is going to be a very good learning experience for Tommy Lloyd. I really do. Because this kid clearly could have done what he's doing right now, and it just wasn't asked of him. Or not asked of him, it wasn't expected out of him. I think this is going to be a good learning experience for Tommy Lloyd, and I think for Kylan Boswell as well.
Yeah. I think it goes both ways, right? Like, what did the motivation to cause Boswell to do this? Where'd that come from? And why couldn't Boswell himself do it in the first place? I think there's some blame to kind of go around here.
And what's wild to me about Boswell as well is that when his father moved down here, so it wasn't like this whole thing about, you're away from your family, you're away from that. Never really made any sense to me at all. But I do think that at the end of the day, though, Tommy Lloyd's job is to win basketball games. And when your point guard looks like that first picture, that's not good enough, man. That's just not good enough. Period.
I also don't care about what he looks like, to be perfectly honest. I care about how he plays.
Well, yeah, but you can also see that the work was not being put in. Come on.
Yeah, I get it.
Oh, let's see. Joseph says, Mike, did you see one of the Morales sisters took a jab at you about Pelle? Interesting.
Yeah, Andy took a jab about you saying that. I don't know. It was weird.
What do you say?
It was a circle. I was gonna say something bad. It was him, Rich Carrillo, and Chief.
Oh, okay. Well, man, I mean, talk about the band of brothers.
He just said something about experts said Europe for Pelle Larsson.
Whatever, man. But I will say Pelle Larsson, my bad 2.0. So Pelle Larsson is in the NBA. I did not see this one occurring. Good work on by Pelle Larsson. You proved me. Now listen, this is an interesting situation. I'm glad that he's moved on. I'm also at the same time, because I think KJ Lewis is going to be better here. But Pelle, you proved me wrong. I was wrong this entire time on Pelle Larsson. He was not nearly as how do I put this? I was just wrong. How about that? Wrong once and wrong twice. But there were still things about his game that just that will perpetually annoy me. And I think they were kind of on display in the last game of the season. So period. Now,
yeah, I'm cool with never talking about Kylan Boswell again.
And Pelle Larsson?
Oh, Pelle? Yeah, sorry, I got distracted by it. I was reading Andy's tweet. I love Pelle. I'm Pelle #1. You always hated Pelle.
Yeah, but you know what?
Look, I don't even know if Pelle's going to have a successful NBA career, but I know the $5 million is guaranteed.
The $5 million is guaranteed. He won, I lost. Not that he cares, but he won, I lost. Now, Five of a Kind Media says, where would you guys like to see Lowry get traded to? Golden State or the Spurs? You know, either one of those ones would be fantastic. I would prefer Golden State because if you're able to keep that core and you bring in Lowry Markkanen to go with a Steph Curry, to go with a Jonathan Kuminga, which I don't know that they necessarily have to get rid of. And
they don't want to get rid of Kuminga.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to get rid of him. And you still have Draymond Green. You have the kid from Santa Clara. I think you're right back in that one, Sheer. I would very much like to see that, or the Spurs would be great. The Spurs are probably 2 years away from being awesome. Lowry's only 25 years old. I think that'd be a good fit. Either one.
What about the Timberwolves?
I don't know. Minnesota to me feels like the place where Anthony Edwards is eventually going to leave.
Oh, come on, big jerk.
Probably. Yeah, that just doesn't feel to me. And yes, SAR is still a thing. We are going to talk about SAR on Friday. I am hoping to talk with somebody that might know a little bit about SAR, though. So we will discuss that. But Sheer, lastly, though, with Arizona basketball, I believe right now it's kind of Dame, SAR, or bust when it comes to adding to this class and adding to somebody that can contribute.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Like it's. I'm cool with the roster right now, to be perfectly honest with you.
Right, I am too, and that's kind of where I'm at when it comes to that. But we're going to talk. Yes, we do have 2 scholarships. We do have 2 spots open, Meisner, but that doesn't mean that you have to fill that.
So here's the deal, because I know a lot of people are saying this. NIL has changed roster construction.
Right.
If you pay a guy now to be your whatever, how many scholarships are there? 13?
Mm-hmm.
12th and 13th guy. When you pay someone, you're paying them with the expectation that they're going to play.
Right.
So when they don't play, they throw a fit. And that's just not how Tommy rolls. Like, team chemistry is a big thing. It has never been an issue under Tommy, and he wants to make sure it never is an issue. And that's how sometimes you got to do it.
All right. Now, we will again, we're off tomorrow, but then we are back Friday, though. We'll be talking a lot of recruiting, all kinds of good stuff. Wanted to talk a ton of Arizona basketball, ton of Arizona football, and all kinds of good stuff. But no better time to become PHNX diehard, by the way. Check it out. You can go into the Discord and you see the great Kobe Thiel doing all kinds of great work in there. Erica L. Day, Andy Bryant, many other AZ Wildcat fan. All kinds of good stuff. Become a diehard. Now, Sheer, where can they find you?
WildcatAuthority.com, Wildcat Scoop Podcast with Shelby. $1 for your first month or 50% off an annual sub going on right now, Wildcat Authority.
All right. It's very much. We appreciate all of you. We have a great 4th of July. Do not be safe with your hands. And we will be back with you. For Jason Shear, I'm merely Mike Luke, the great Jacob Franklin behind the scenes. Again, appreciate all of you. We'll be back with you. You've been listening to the AZ Wildcats podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.